This is Mountain Vision. Welcome to the Blue Devils Football Coaches Show. Your home for all things Manchester High School football. With head coach Evan Huckstetler and your host, J.J. Hush.
Good evening and welcome to the Manchester Football Coaches Show. I'm your host, J.J. Hush, with Coach Evan Hochstetler. Coach, thank you so much for joining us again this week.
Thank you.
So last week was the first inaugural week of football here in Georgia for high school football, and you guys were fortunate enough, I guess, to not be able to not play there and prepare for your upcoming game against Charlton County this Saturday, August the 29th against Charlton County. What advantages is it to have an extra week to prepare when a lot of teams are playing?
Obviously, the first advantage, you can work on yourselves a little bit longer. We could fix what was wrong against Harris County. Basically, this past week, we work on Manchester. It's us versus us. We threw a little bit of Charlton County at them later in the week, but for the most part, we were working on our foundation of our football team. We're working on our base plays and our base defense. We're tackling. We're getting after it. So that's an advantage. The disadvantage maybe is keeping the kids involved during the week. They tend to, I'm not going to use the word lay back, but they do. It's difficult that they've been going through this whole summer and the whole preseason, and here we are. We had another 10 days before a game, and that was difficult for them mentally and physically. And be honest with you, Tuesday might have been the worst football practice I've been a part of in my career. But after practice, I was reading the AJC, and the Georgia Tech coach, Coach Johnson, talked about the same thing. He had a really bad day on Monday, and it was talking about classes started at Georgia Tech, and they had the off week and had a whole another week to play another game. And here we are at Manchester. We're going through the same situation as Georgia Tech. So it's not just here in Manchester, it's in other places too. But after Tuesday, we had a really good Wednesday and a really good Thursday.
And it does add a little bit when other kids around the area are playing football, and those guys are getting really amped up and ready to go, and they're just It's like holding back some guys in a cage, and they're ready to get out there and get under the lights.
Yes, that's true. A few of them did talk about some games. I know they talked about the Greenville scrimmage game, but for the most part, they were just focused on Manchester. I know Wednesday and Thursday it felt like fall, but today it did not feel. It felt like July today. So.
Yeah, and that's going to be another thing coming up on Saturday. You guys are playing at 5 o'clock against Charlton County. So that's going to be, it looks like the forecast is going to be a pretty hot day down there in Macon,
yes.
Georgia.
I think the lowest I've seen for the high was 89 degrees, and that's pretty hot, especially when you got a couple pounds of equipment on, you wear the helmet, and you're running around on the turf. The temperature does rise, but we cannot use that as an excuse. We're starting right now to prepare our bodies for Saturday. We're telling the kids to drink the water, get rid of the Coca-Colas and Mountain Dews, but for the most part, they're doing a pretty good job. And on Thursday, we'll start giving them Pedialyte after practice, which is pretty good.
Yeah. That playing on natural turf, natural grass, stuff like that, you guys are used to that. But playing on that turf that they have down at Mercer, is there any way that you can prepare for that as far as playing in that kind of stadium or that atmosphere?
On our practice field, no. We just don't have the facilities to work on the turf, but in my experience, I have coached a team that played on the old turf when it was almost like concrete, in the turf now. Be honest with you, it's almost like playing on natural field. It's unbelievable, the technology and how they can make that place feel. We played in the Georgia Dome in 2001 against Metter, Georgia, when I was at Bowden, and that turf was almost like concrete. Mm-hmm. It was horrible.
So speaking of the team and working on Manchester, most of the times coming into the year, I've heard you guys have been fortunate, but a lot of teams sometimes come with injuries and stuff like that. Where are you guys at on that as far as the injury report for the Blue Devils?
Knock on wood, we're pretty good right now. We have a few bump and bruises. We got a kid with an ankle sprain, but he's working through it. We tape him every day. We put his foot in the ice bucket during weight training and put it in the ice bucket after practice. It's one of those things he can kind of work through. Unfortunately, the team is a young team, and right now, some of our kids may or may not know how to work through what's injury or what's just a little pain. And we just got to make sure we motivate them and let them know this is part of the game. The game is a physical football game, but on the good side, as much as the hitting takes place on the field, the injuries for football is not that high compared to other sports as far as the contact. So it comes with the territory, the bumps and bruises. So we're okay. We could be better, but we've been worse.
Talking about the safety of the game, I believe me and you were talking before we went on about the new Georgia High School Association, what they've done with the hitting. You can't hit more than 2 days in a row and stuff like that. Has that played a part in maybe the injuries, maybe not just going hard every single day and maybe just, taking those days to go into just shoulder pads and shorts and stuff like that?
I have not seen any injuries that correlates with that new rule. The ankle sprain came through a bout of the board situation. The kid gets stepped wrong and turned wrong. But the rule, you have to ask me in about 2 or 3 years to really get the feel for it. I think it's a pretty good rule. I was telling you earlier, it does not change anything for us as far as once the week gets started. You cannot go full contact more than 2 days in a row. And when the season starts, on Monday, we fix what happened on Friday. Then we put in new stuff for the upcoming Friday. Now, Tuesday and Thursday, we do go at it. We're very physical. And then again, on Thursday, we kind of polish up. So once the games start flowing like they should during the season, the rule does not come into play for us as far as we've been doing what we've done the years past. And just look at the numbers, we're okay. But right now, it's difficult. Today we did hit. We'll hit tomorrow, and Wednesday we'll have to back off a little bit. But like we practice Monday through Friday this week.
Talking about your scheduling and the preparation, the guys with a new coaching staff usually coming in, it takes a little bit for kids to get acclimated to that system. How have the kids done so far with the preparation from Monday through Friday so far?
They're doing pretty well so far. I know last couple of weeks they have asked questions. They may ask, are we in full pads today, or are we going to the game field today? But they got to the point where they don't ask. They know what we expect of them. They know if it's not Thursday, the day before the game, we're going to the practice field and we're in full pads. And we got a system that we do before practice. It takes about 17 minutes to do our agilities. We do the lateral movement through the dummies. We do the tires. That may be outdated for some coaches, but we still do tires. And we do hills. You run up the hill, down the hill. That's every single day. It's every Monday through Wednesday once the season starts. So they know right offhand. But for the most part, they've been pretty good. It took them a while, but we're getting the hang of it.
Here at Sun Fashions, we have a variety of all your needs, from half wigs to whole wigs, from lace front wigs to ponytails. We also carry your beauty supply needs. We have your latest fashion in jewelry, handbags, clothes, and shoes. So whenever you're in town and you want to shop around, make it your passion to come to Sun Fashion.
Football season is here. Get your lineup ready with your favorite team accessories at Manchester Farm Garden and Hardware. Flags, banners, and all types of fan gear. Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and Georgia Tech. Don't forget about the great selection of Carhartt clothing and Georgia boots, too. We have everything you need to make it through your work week till game day here at Manchester Farm Garden and Hardware in the Town and Country Shopping Center in Manchester.
So Saturday's the big day. Charlton County, obviously a single A power for years and years. We were talking about Coach McCorder down there and the program that he has put in there is just remarkable. What is it going to do for you guys coming in and playing a team like that for the opening year to set your season off?
I tell you what, the other day at school, it was actually today, Coach O, I saw him before class, and he was asking me if I was excited about my first football game as head football coach, and he was telling me that he could remember how excited he was for his first football game. And I asked him if he was playing Charlton County for his first football game. He said no. So the excitement's there, but then again, I know what we're going up against. It's a legitimate test for our football program. I'd rather play them game 2, game 3, but we're going to attack the game just like any other game. Charlton County, they've been a powerhouse since the early 90s. The games that have been involved with Charlton County is obviously I was a ball boy back in '92. Bowden played them in the semifinals before going on to win the state championship. And the year after I graduated high school, Bowden went down there and played them in 1999. And we beat them in '92. They beat us in '99. Both teams were really good. They have an outstanding program. If you think of Class A football, you think of Lincoln County, and you think of Charlton County and Clinch County. Those are the 3 powerhouses. So.
And you talk about one thing that Charlton County has been known for ever since the 90s is producing Division I talent.
Yes.
It started with Champ Bailey back in the early 90s. We talked about that a little bit, and he was actually a part of that '92 that game in the semifinals. Yes. His brother Boss Bailey came up as well, and they've had some great guys, and they even have one coming up now. This senior running back they have, number 8, Andrew Lee, has been a big talk down there in Charlton County.
Yes, he deserves all the credit for anybody talking about him. He's legit. When I took a job at Manchester, he's one of the first ones I heard about. So I talked to Coach McWhorter about him today. He had high regard to say, talk about the running back, but he's a workhorse. He's a big back. He may not be flashy as some other D1 type backs, but he will wear you down throughout the game. He knows how to be tackled, and when I say that, that's a compliment. Some running backs fall to the side or fall backward. When he's tackled, he's falling forward, and that's the extra 2 or 3 yards that he gets every time that he's tackled. He's unbelievable.
And it's not just on the offensive side of the ball. Charlton County is a strong team offensively and defensively. I think we talked about last week how they have 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. It's kind of hard to see that in Class A nowadays when you have people not going both. You have the ability to not go both ways, and,
yes.
and they're one of those teams.
Yeah, that's a very unique situation for a Class A team, and to be honest with you, it's a unique situation for a small AA team. I counted today. We will have 5 or 6 players playing both sides of the ball. That's one of the factors that may hurt us early on the year, but by reaching time, it would not hurt. It's get the kids prepared. But Charlton County, they do completely 2 platoon. They're not just putting bodies out there; they're putting really good football players out there, and that's a compliment to Coach McWhorter. It's a compliment to Charlton County football program. Kids want to be a part of the winning tradition, and they have a lot of bodies out there. Like you said earlier, they have a lot of athletes, so that's a deadly combination. They can put 22 bodies out there that can play football.
And talking about the similar style, they actually run, I believe, a wing T offense as well. Sometimes they'll spread it out, but they run the ball a lot.
Yes.
And you guys do as well. So it's going to be a battle in the trenches.
It will be. Any game, I don't care what kind of offense or what type of defense, the battle is usually won up front. It is won up front. And I tell my kids before the game and at practice, the lowest man wins. And that's a true statement. If we can play technique in our front 4 on defense and front 5 on offense and stay low, that will benefit our football program team next Saturday. But if we do not play that type of football, Charlton County will have a good day.
Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball a little bit. I know you guys run a 4-4.
Yes.
Would that be in play going against this offense this week, or is there a different kind of preparation for a team like Charlton County?
It's a little bit in football today. You see a lot of spread, and when I talk spread, they 2-3 wide, or you can 31 or 22. But for the most part, these spread teams are trying to run the football. They spread you out to get better numbers in the box to run the football. So we our foundation 4-4. There's certain situations that we have to go. I call it Pro 4. It's really a 43, a 0-4-3 pro style. But for the most part, we were going to stop the run first and make them beat us with the pass.
And that's something that's definitely going to be probably something that comes into play this weekend, because Charlton County, they run the ball very well, but if you throw them in the passing game, you might have a chance to put something on them.
Yes, their passing game is a lot more polished than it was last year. the quarterback, he has 12 games under his belt. You might as well say 14 if you count the scrimmage this year and the scrimmage last year. He's a football-only type athlete. He does not play basketball, baseball, so he's devoted to football year-round. And I can tell the difference between the QB last year against Manchester and the QB I saw on film last week. He's a much better football player. He can spread the ball. He can throw it over the top of the defense. He can stretch the field from sideline to sideline, and he will run it. So he complements the running back very well.
There's also a player on Charlton County's roster on the offensive side of the ball. I was talking to you about earlier, number 15, Brad Milton. He made one of the top 5 plays on Max Prep's plays of the week for the first inaugural week this season. He didn't play a lot on offense, but when he's in, he makes a difference.
Yeah, believe it or not, he played one snap on offense last week. He caught a little a 5-yard out route. He made 3 guys miss and took it to the house. He plays cornerback on the defensive side of the ball. He's a very good cornerback. Unfortunately, Charlton County has the ability to put him out there on offense as well. With number 15 and number 2 on the field at the same time, they are a very dangerous football team.
And number 2 for them, I believe he's a younger guy on their team, like a sophomore or a freshman.
He's a freshman. He's a freshman that has legit probably a sub 4.5 speed, maybe a high 4.4 speed, but he's the one they like to go over the top with vertically. He catches the bubble screens and the inside screens, and when he has the ball in his hand, you have to get bodies to him. He can make one guy miss and take it to the house.
Let's talk a little bit about your defense. Who can we expect out there on the depth chart wise on the defensive side of the ball for you guys?
Okay, right now in the secondary, we had Addy, we call him Preacher Man. He's number 11, and we have Little Bell. He's the brother of Anthony Bell. He's a sophomore. We're also looking at Trey Magruder, and right now we got two other guys that we're looking at the other safety spot for this week, but they're going to take care of the secondary spot. Linebackers, you're looking at John Ferguson, number 14, and we got some other bodies. Just kind of depends what situation and what defense we're going to put out there this week. So,
talk a little bit about Ferguson. He's one of the older guys on the team. I believe he's a junior. Is that right?
Sophomore.
So actually, he's a little bit younger, but he's actually playing at a bigger role than
Yes.
a lot of sophomores would play.
We have a lot of sophomores that play in that big role. Ferguson, he has 10 games under his belt. He's our cowbell on defense. He made 100% of the workouts in the summertime. He's at every single practice. He's yes sir, no sir. He does his job. We got to keep his pad levels a little too high. We got to drop it down, but I think he can make some plays.
And those little things you can fix, especially with guys like that. And it's got to be great to have those guys who have got the experience, like you said, more than double-digit games under their belt. And the future looks bright for Manchester football on both sides of the ball.
We do have a big sophomore class. We have a big senior class. The junior class and freshman class are smaller, but that's typical for small schools. You're going to have a big class, maybe a small one, another big, but the sophomore class is a big class.
We'll be back with more with Coach Hochstetler on the Manchester Football Coaches Show.
Football season is here. Get your lineup ready with your favorite team accessories at Manchester Farm Garden and Hardware. Flags, banners, and all types of fan gear. Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and Georgia Tech. Don't forget about the great selection of Carhartt clothing and Georgia boots, too. We have everything you need to make it through your work week till game day here at Manchester Farm Garden and Hardware in the Town and Country Shopping Center in Manchester.
Here at Sun Fashions, we have a variety of all your needs from half wigs to whole wigs, from lace front wigs to ponytails. We also carry your beauty supply needs. We have your latest fashion in jewelry, handbags, clothes, and shoes. So whenever you're in town and you want to shop around, make it your passion to come to Sun Fashion.
Welcome back to the Manchester Football Coaches Show with Coach Evan Hochstetler. Coach, we've talked about the defensive side of the ball. Let's go to the offensive side. What can we expect from you guys? I know we run the wing tee. What can we expect as far as the starting lineups there and who to see on the field?
Right now, Garrett Brown's our QB. He's the guy that makes things run on offense. He gets to play in. He gets the guys to the line of scrimmage, and he gets the ball to the running back. So he's doing a really good job. He's becoming a leader more and more. He's still a sophomore. I say that we got a lot of sophomores, so he's maturing, but it's a slow process with our sophomores. But he's doing a good job. Addy is the receiver. We call him, again, his preacher man. He made the big plays last year for Manchester, so we're going to try to get the ball to him here and there. And skill-wise, we got about 6 guys that are in a fluid rotation in the backfield, and I probably won't have them in concrete until we get to October. So I'm still giving people chances. We do have a group that's going to be out there for the first play, but then again, at certain packages and certain downs, I want different guys in there. And we're blessed at Manchester. Like I said, we got about 6 running backs that I can move in and out.
And that's a great thing to have. It's a good asset when you talk about guys playing on both sides of the ball. You can give those guys a breather, and plus running fresh legs on the defense can really wear them down pretty quick.
It can, but we got to get better as a unit in the backfield. I got one guy that does a really good job running the jet, but he's not able to block on, say, the butt sweeper ISO right now. And when you get to reach and play, when these defensive coordinators start putting stuff together on film, they understand if number so-and-so is in the game, they're probably going to high percentage run jet. So, like I said, we got to get better as a unit. I got to have every back doing the same thing. But right now, we're getting there, but we're not quite there.
So trying to make guys more of a complete back and not
yes.
showing the tails and stuff like that.
Yes, and that's big. It may not be so big the first 2-3 games, but once coaches, they have 5 films on you, they know your tendencies are probably better than you do. So we're getting there.
Talk about your offensive line a little bit, and those guys, they're the ones that hold everything together. There's the guys that open up those holes for those running backs. Talk a little bit about the offensive line.
Right, we have a sophomore at center. His name's Danny Marshall. He's probably one of the smartest kids on the team. He's doing pretty good. He had a pretty good summer. He was over 80% of his workouts, and he's a workhorse. He's been doing really well for us. We got 2 seniors at offensive guards, and if most people know in the wing T, the guard is probably where you put your best linemen. They're always pulling. They're down blocking, but they're Jimmy Lee, Rose, and Owens, and they're doing a pretty good job. They're pretty good wing T guards now, but by October, I think we're going to be okay at offensive guard. And at tackles, we got Powell. He's a senior, and the left tackle is Starsco. He's a junior. And tight end is Ferguson, so he's going both ways.
And talk about how instrumental he is. I know your dad is coaching that offensive line, or is the offensive line coordinator. Talk about how it is with having a guy like that, of course your dad, the legend coach that he is, to bring the principles and the foundations that what you need for that offensive line to make that offense go.
Yes, well, it's a blessing. I tell you what, I went by his room today, and I've been watching film all weekend, and we talked Sunday, of course, but I went by with a new idea. There's several ways we block ISO, and I just ran it by him. Do we need to work on this way? And he said we'll work on it today. But I have all the trust. I can say you got 10 minutes to work on this play and this play, and I do not have to look at the offensive line. I know they're working.
Anybody on special teams that stand out as far as I know that kickers and punters usually in high school they do the same job. They do a kicker and punter, but y'all have a separate there, or y'all use the same?
It's by committee right now. I know Garrett Brown and a new student athlete in Manchester, Hines Barnes, they've been punting here lately. One day one's doing it a little bit better than the other. Then the other day they just flip the roles. But we're punting by committee right now. I know Garrett had some punting duties last year. And kicking, John Ferguson and Starsco are kicking right now, but we don't have no leaders in that department. That's sometimes in small public school, either you're blessed with one kid that comes through that has played soccer and that can really kick, and other times you're just hoping you can get somebody to do a good job.
You talked about having a lot of running backs and a lot of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Who's going to be returning kicks and stuff like that this year for the Manchester Blue Devils?
To be honest with you, the preseason games we're probably going to use some backups. I do not want to get our cowbell, somebody that's really going to be with us or really shine and reaching. I don't want to get them hurt against a non-reaching opponent. So right now we'll probably hold them back a little bit on the kickoff returns.
So, Coach, we talked about the offense on our side. Who is this offense going against? What can we expect from the Charlton County Indians?
To Charlton County, they hit and run and they run and hit. They're 11 bodies on the ball all times. They're really fast. I'm very impressed with their front three or front four, depending on their defense. They are big and they're fast. But the nose man is, I think he was at 5'10". He's 290 pounds, and he moves like a linebacker. He is in the backfield constantly. It's not just him. Both defensive tackles, they look heavy and they look fast. And that's a deadly combination for the defensive line.
Talk about a little bit how you can attack maybe that secondary a little bit if the run's not going. I know they have a few young guys out in that secondary, but they still look decent.
They do. It just kind of depends what they show. If they on film they have ran a 35, which is a 3 down lineman, 5 linebackers, and 3 secondary guys, and they also run a 34, old time 50, but I call it 34, where they have 2 safeties, 2 corners, and 4 linebackers. But we're going to have to stretch the field vertically. That's part of our game plan. Any game we go into, we see how we're going to stretch the field vertically. But we're going to have to pound the ball first. Last couple of years as an offensive coordinator, I have not gone into the game saying I'm not going to pound it. Either you pound it or you don't pound it. The football is a game of be hit or hit somebody else, and we're going to try to set this tone.
And that's kind of the identity that you guys are wanting to go for, that Bowden had for so long. Is, hey, they're a wing T team. They're going to come at you. They're going to hit you in the mouth. And that's something you're trying to establish here.
Oh, without a doubt. We do have the speed game on the wing T. We do run the jets and do some other stuff that's more finesse. But sweep, even though it's an outside run, it's a very physical play on the edge. You get 2 guards on a defender, an outside linebacker that's usually not being blocked by guards. And outside linebackers in high school, they don't like that. They don't like a guard pulling and coming to kick them. They just sometimes they take the pounding, they get a little bit wider, and eventually you can gate it for 50 yards and score.
And when you got a guy like Anthony Bell that's coming down the tracks at you, it's a little hard to tackle if you're outside linebacker or a corner. It's hard to deal with.
It is. Anthony, right now we have him fullback, and he's learning his tracks. I watched the film against Harris County. He ran the down, or the old belly, whatever you want to call it, and we blocked it well. And his track was good, but once he got in the hole, he was looking for a defender to make contact with him. So he braced himself to make a move, and he didn't have to do that. And eventually he'll learn to run his track and run it all the way through, and we'll be fine. But yes, Anthony Bell is definitely a guy that's going to be difficult for defenses to bring down.
So, Coach, game Saturday, what is the keys to victory for the Manchester Blue Devils this weekend against Charlton County, a powerhouse for the 1A?
We're going to have to get on a fast start. We're going to have to work through adversity. But anytime you talk about keys to the game, obviously we want to be ahead of the turnover battle. We don't want to turn the ball over, and we want to take the ball away from them. We have to stay ahead of the sticks. I always tell my offensive linemen in the offense, we have to move the sticks. So we want to be in a positive situation. If we get 3 yards, 4 yards, that's fine. That's not negative. So we got to stay ahead of the sticks. We got to complete a pass vertically early. So that'll help loosen up the defense. And we got to tackle number 8.
What about on the defense side of the ball? I know tackling number 8, but what do you look to do? I know stopping him is probably going to be the number one goal, but what else are we looking for to try to get that?
Yeah, obviously, if you don't tackle 8, you have no shot. But if you tackle 8, then you get into situations where we got to stop the passing game now. We got to stop the quarterback game or them throwing the little bubble screen to number 2. But it starts with number 8. He's the cowbell. But our alignment has to be better. I know at Harris County I talked about we did not prepare for their formation. So our alignments and assignments against Harris County were not good. But we didn't prepare our kids for that. We're just working on Manchester football, but we're preparing our kids for Charlton County. So I'm anxious to see, I'm curious to see how well our secondary and outside linebackers align themselves and how well they take care of their assignments. So,
how excited are you to go into your first game as a head coach for Manchester this weekend?
I hadn't thought about it that much. We're just watching film. I do what I do. So I on the flip side, I am excited. It's a blessing to be a head football coach in the state of Georgia, and much less a town like Manchester, a big football town. But I'll be honest with you, I've been watching a lot of film. I've been working. So
that's going to wrap up this edition of the Manchester Football Coaches Show. Tune in each week to get the lowdown on all the Blue Devil football news.
Thank you for watching the Blue Devils Football Coaches Show. Brought to you by Manchester Farm, Garden and Hardware and JT Signs. Join Coach Huck Stetler and your host JJ Hush next week as they continue to review and preview all the Blue Devils football games right here on Mountain Vision. This is Mountain Vision.